Hi everybody, welcome to another makeover. I found this dresser on Facebook Marketplace and it was for free. And I decided to pick it up because I thought it's a solid pine and I had plans for that. I actually wanted to transform it into a kitchen island, but thanks God plans changed and it never happened. Because this dresser was a can of worms. So I decided to burn it. Not to the ground though. I call this technique brushing, but I know this is Japanese technique. It's called shosagiban. I'm sure I pronounced it wrong, so I'm gonna call it brushing anyways. I've tried that technique before, but not in the furniture because I haven't had a right piece. It works much better on the soft wood and it creates a nice 3D effect. Okay, I'm done with the introductory part. Let's jump into the transformation. To get a 3D effect at the end, I had to burn not just the surface, but a little bit deeper to burn those soft fiber of the pine. Then I took a wire brush and started burnishing the burnt wood. Normally you gotta follow the wood grain, but sometimes I like to brush against the wood grain because it creates a different effect. And what I like about that technique, that if I don't like the result, for example, I've brushed again the wood grain and I don't like how it looks, or my 3D effect is not deep enough, I can burn it again and brush it again. And this process is really fast. It took me about 20 minutes to burn and burnish all 7 jars. And when you burn the wood, you add additional protection, so you're good to go like this. I just lightly sanded with 320 grit sandpaper for smoother surface and lighter color. And in my opinion, I made a mistake with this dresser. I should have left him like this. Look, it's awesome color, it's perfect. But I decided to stain it in a darker color. But before staining, I was going to show you that it's not necessarily to use a wire brush and do it by hand. I had wire brush attachment for my drill, and of course you can use it too. But there's always but. Burnishing with a hand wire brush gives nicer and even color. Burnishing with a drill attachment creates deeper 3D effect, but as you can see the color is not even. And it's lighter, so if you're planning to stain, it works well. I could probably re-burnish it again, but I could risk to dive deeper in the not burned fiber. To prevent this, we could use a nail and brush attachment and probably would get an even color at the end, but it would be much lighter. So here you can see the difference between brushing with hand wire brush and drill attachment. And here we go. At this point, I decided to stain the whole piece with a dark walnut stain. It doesn't look bad. I don't hate it, but I think it looked better before, or it would look better with a lighter stain. And what do you think? Please let me know in the comments. And here is Classy Alona. I forgot to patch the holes from an old hardware. So this is important. If you get the holes and you're gonna use brushing technique, you gotta first fill them up and then burn and burnish. I didn't, so I added myself a little bit more work. The top of the dresser, which I thought was solid wood, had rounded edges. I wanted it square, so I cut the edges with my circular saw. And then I sanded them with the 80, 100, 120, 180, and 220 grit sandpaper. And at this point, I started to suspect that the solid pine top was not as solid as I thought. While sanding the surface of the top, I figured it was only framed with solid wood, and inside of this frame was some type of particle board with the pine veneer on the top. This particle board has been sanded so many times probably, and it was bumpy. I don't know how to explain it. You probably can see it on the video. It's like bumpy road. I know I should replace the top, but I didn't. I gave up. I decided it would be my practice piece and I'm not gonna ask a lot of money for it. I decided to do as much as I can and keep it as it. Off camera, I burn and burnish the frame and try to sand the surface as smooth as possible. And here's one more surprise. I was gonna change the base of the dresser to give it more modern look, but I found out that it was made kind of weird way, so this board, I couldn't take it off or cut it off without breaking the whole dresser. So I had to glue it back and said bye-bye to a new beautiful base. I was gonna be painting the sides of the dresser, so I scuff sanded them with the 180 grit sandpaper. And then primed with Kiehl's heavy duty primer. For the paint, I used Fusion Mineral Paint in this pinkish damask color. I thought it was gonna complement the dark color of the wood. But I was not gonna leave it like this. I wanted to glaze it to cover some imperfections of this dresser. I did 3 coats of paint and I sanded in between coats with 220 grit sandpaper. For glazing, I used the same dark walnut stain I used for the drawers and the top frame. I sealed the piece with satin white and poly. I did 2 coats on the drawers and 3 coats on the body of the dresser. For the hardware, I went through all my stash and I couldn't decide which hardware to use. And then I went to Salvage Center and I found the perfect matching hardware. God bless salvage centers and thrift stores. And before showing you the final result, I want to finish the story of this dresser. This dresser had been listed on Facebook Marketplace for about 4 months until I decided to refinish it again, correct my mistakes, and make this video a little bit longer. But as soon as I decided to do that, someone actually bought it. So no more makeovers. Happy end. And here's the final result.